Welcome, and thank you for being here with Mind Lepic. Take a slow breath in and gently let it go. Tonight, we will step into a quiet place from the past, a calm Dutch village, surrounded by tall windmills, where life moves slowly and softly, like the turning of wooden blades in the breeze. Before we begin, if you enjoy these peaceful journeys, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It truly helps Mind Lepic grow, gently, one listener at a time. And if you feel like it, you can share where you are listening from, your city or your country. It's always comforting to know how many quiet places around the world are connected in this same peaceful moment. Now, dim the lights a little more. Let your shoulders relax. Find a comfortable position and allow your body to soften as we begin our slow journey. It is early morning in a small Dutch village. Many centuries ago, a light mist rests over the fields, soft and pale, like a thin blanket over the land. The air is cool and still and quiet. In the distance, a windmill stands tall, its wooden arms turning slowly, creaking gently as they move through the calm morning air. Another windmill, and another, spread across the flat land, each one turning at its own quiet pace. The sound is soft, steady, repeating, like a slow rhythm that never rushes. The village itself is small, just a cluster of simple homes, with sloped roofs and narrow windows, some with tiny flower boxes resting on the ledges. Thin lines of smoke rise from a few chimneys, drifting upward, then fading into the pale sky. Inside one of the homes, a woman begins her morning. Her name is Anke. She wakes slowly, not to noise, but to the gentle light, slipping through the small window beside her bed. The room is simple, a wooden bed, a small table, a folded blanket, and a quiet sense of warmth. She sits up, pauses for a moment, and listens. The distant creak of the windmill, the faint rustle of wind across the fields, and the soft stillness of the early hour. It is the same every morning, and it is always enough. She places her feet on the cool wooden floor and stands. Her movements are slow, unhurried, as if the morning itself is guiding her pace. In the small kitchen area, she lights a candle. The flame flickers gently, casting soft shadows along the walls. Then she begins to prepare a simple breakfast, a small piece of bread, some fresh butter, and warm milk. Nothing fancy, nothing rushed, just quiet nourishment for a quiet day outside. The mist begins to lift, very slowly. The fields stretch wide and flat, green and open, lined with narrow canals that reflect the soft sky. A narrow dirt path runs between the houses, leading toward the windmills. Soon, the village will begin to stir. But for now, everything remains calm and still. Anke steps outside, holding her small basket. The air feels fresh against her skin, cool and clean. She takes a slow breath and begins walking down the path. Each step is soft, pressing gently into the earth. She passes a wooden fence, where a few sheep stand quietly, their wool thick and pale. They barely move, just watching, as the morning continues to unfold. In the distance, a man is already working near one of the windmills. His movements are slow and steady, checking the large wooden structure, listening to its rhythm as it turns. The windmill is important here. It helps grind grain and keeps the water levels balanced, protecting the land from flooding. But more than that, it is simply part of life, always there, always turning, always steady. Anke continues along the path, toward a small canal. The water is smooth, like glass, reflecting the sky and the quiet shape of the windmills. She kneels down, dips her hand into the water, and pauses. It is cold, but gentle. Nearby, a narrow wooden boat rests along the edge, tied loosely with rope. It sways just slightly as the water moves beneath it. The world here does not rush. Time feels softer, longer, as if each moment is allowed to fully exist. Before the next one begins, Hanka stands again and continues walking. Soon, she reaches a small garden. It sits beside another home, filled with simple rows of vegetables and a few early flowers, just beginning to bloom. She begins to gather what she needs: a few carrots, some herbs, and a handful of greens. Her hands move slowly, carefully, as she places each item into her basket. There is no hurry. There is only the quiet work and the gentle passing of time. A soft breeze begins to move across the land. The windmills respond, their large blades turning a little more steadily now. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The sound is familiar, comforting, unchanging. A few more villagers begin to appear, stepping out of their homes, stretching, walking slowly into their day. A man carries a bundle of wood. Another leads a small cart, its wheels rolling softly over the dirt path. There are no loud voices, no sudden sounds, just quiet greetings, soft nods, and the shared understanding of another peaceful day. Anka finishes gathering her vegetables and stands still for a moment. She looks out across the fields, the canals, the windmills. Everything feels balanced, simple, steady. She begins to walk back home, her basket gently swaying at her side. The sun is rising a little higher now, casting a warm golden light across the land. The mist is almost gone, leaving behind a clear, open sky. The village is awake, but still calm, still slow, still quiet, and as the windmills continue their endless turning, the day begins, just as it always does, softly and without hurry. The morning continues, slowly, as if it has nowhere else to be. Anka walks back along the narrow path, her basket resting gently against her arm, each step steady, each breath calm. The soft sound of her footsteps blends with the quiet rhythm of the village. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The windmills continue turning, never fast, never stopping, just moving as they always have. As she nears her home, the sunlight grows warmer, spreading softly across the rooftops, touching the wooden walls, and slipping through the small windows. A few birds begin to appear, small and light, moving between fences and rooftops. Their sounds are gentle, short, and spaced apart, never breaking the calm. Anka steps inside her home again, placing her basket carefully on the table. The candle she lit earlier has burned lower now, its flame smaller, but still steady. She begins to prepare for the rest of the morning. She washes the vegetables in a wooden bowl, the water cool, the movements slow and quiet. Each carrot is rinsed, each leaf gently cleaned, then placed to the side. There is no rush. There is only the task, and the time to complete it. Outside, the village continues to wake. A soft, rolling sound moves through the air. Wooden wheels, turning slowly along the dirt path. A cart passes by, pulled by a calm horse, its steps even, unhurried. The driver sits quietly, holding the reins loosely, guiding the horse without effort. Nothing here feels forced. Everything moves, as it should. Back inside, Anka begins to slice the vegetables. The knife moves gently, a soft rhythm against the wooden surface. Cut, pause, cut, pause. The sound is quiet, steady, almost blending with the distant turning of the windmills. The morning light fills the room now, soft and golden, touching the table, the walls, her hands. After a while, she steps outside again. The air has changed slightly, still cool, but touched with warmth. The mist has fully lifted, revealing the wide fields, stretching far beyond the village. Green, open, endless. Thin canals run between the land, their water calm, reflecting the sky like long mirrors. A narrow wooden bridge crosses one of the canals, simple, worn smooth by years of quiet footsteps. Anka walks toward it, her steps slow, her posture relaxed. As she reaches the bridge, she pauses. The water below moves gently, barely noticeable, just a soft shift, a quiet flow. She rests her hands lightly on the wooden rail, feeling its smooth surface, warmed slightly by the sun. In the distance, one of the windmills turns a little faster now, the breeze picking up just enough to guide it. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The sound travels softly across the open land. A man stands near the base of the windmill, watching it carefully, adjusting something small, then stepping back. His movements are practiced, familiar, done many times before. The windmill responds, its blades continuing their slow rotation, steady and calm. Anka remains at the bridge for a moment longer, watching the quiet movement of the world around her. There is nothing urgent, nothing demanding, just the gentle passing of time. After a while, she turns and begins walking again. Further along the path, a small group of villagers has gathered. They stand near a simple well, drawing water, talking quietly. Their voices are low, soft, blending into the background like distant echoes. A bucket is lowered, the rope creaking slightly, then rising again, filled with clear water. One woman pours it into a clay container. Another waits patiently beside her. No one rushes. Each person moves when it is their turn. Anka joins them, waiting quietly. She holds her container, resting it lightly against her side. The sun continues to rise, but slowly, never too bright, never too harsh. When it is her turn, she steps forward. The rope feels rough in her hands, familiar, unchanged. She lowers the bucket, listening to the soft splash as it meets the water below. Then, slowly, she pulls it back up. The weight is gentle, steady, manageable. She pours the water into her container, watching it settle, clear and still. With a small nod to the others, she steps away, continuing her walk. The village now feels more awake, but still peaceful. Doors open, then close softly. Footsteps pass along the paths, never hurried, never loud. The wind carries faint scents, fresh bread, damp earth, and clean air. In the distance, a bell rings once, soft, low, then fades. It does not call for urgency. It simply marks the passing of the morning. Anka returns home once more, placing the water carefully inside. She moves through her space with ease, each action familiar, each step known. She opens a small window, allowing the breeze to enter. The curtain shifts slightly, moving in slow, gentle waves. The sound of the windmill drifts in again, steady, unchanging. Creak, pause, creak, pause. It feels almost like a heartbeat. For the village, always there, always calm. Anka sits for a moment, resting her hands in her lap. She looks around her home, simple, quiet, just enough. Outside, the day continues to unfold, slowly, just as it began, and the windmills continue turning, without hurry, without end. The morning slowly begins to lean toward midday, though it does not feel like a change, only a gentle continuation. The light grows softer and fuller, spreading across the fields, resting quietly on the canals, and warming the wooden walls of each home. Inside her house, Anka rises from her seat, moving without rush, as if guided by the steady rhythm around her. She gathers a small cloth, folding it neatly, then placing it into her basket. There are small things to do, simple tasks, nothing heavy, nothing urgent. She steps outside once more, closing the door softly behind her. The air now carries a light warmth, mixed with the cool breath of the canals. It is a balanced feeling, neither cold nor warm, just gentle. Along the path, the village continues its quiet activity. A woman sweeps the front of her home, the broom brushing softly against the ground. Sweep, pause, sweep, pause. The sound is soft, blending into the stillness. Nearby, a man repairs a wooden fence, his hands moving slowly, fitting each piece with care. There is no rush in his work, only attention and patience. Hanka walks past them, offering a small nod, which is returned with quiet warmth. Words are not always needed here. The understanding is shared in simple gestures and calm presence. She continues toward a wider path, one that leads closer to the windmills. The ground beneath her feet feels firm, worn smooth by many years of footsteps. Each step she takes feels familiar, as if the path itself remembers. In the distance, the windmills stand tall, their long wooden arms turning slowly against the sky. The breeze has settled into a steady rhythm now, just enough to keep them moving. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The sound travels gently across the open land. As Anke walks closer, the windmills appear larger, their presence quiet, but constant. One of them stands near a small structure, where sacks of grain are kept. A man is there, lifting one sack at a time, placing it carefully near the entrance. His movements are slow, measured, done with care. He pauses often, not from strain, but simply because there is no need to hurry. Hanka stops a short distance away, watching for a moment. The turning blades cast soft, moving shadows on the ground, stretching, then shifting, then stretching again. The pattern repeats, over and over, like a quiet dance of light and shade. She feels the breeze a little more here. It brushes lightly against her face, cool and calm. After a moment, she continues walking, moving past the windmill, toward the edge of the fields. The land opens wide here, green and endless, divided only by the thin lines of canals. The water reflects the sky so clearly that it feels like another world beneath the surface. A few tall grasses sway gently at the edges, moving with the same slow rhythm as the windmills. There is a quiet harmony in everything. Nothing moves too fast. Nothing feels out of place. Anka walks along the narrow edge of one canal, her steps careful, but relaxed. She pauses again, looking down into the water. A faint ripple moves across the surface, then disappears. For a moment, everything becomes very still, so still that even the distant sounds feel softer. She listens. The windmill, creak, pause, a distant cart, rolling slowly, a bird, calling once, then quiet again. The world feels gently wrapped in calm. After a while, Anka kneels beside the canal. She dips the cloth into the water, letting it soak slowly. The water is cool, refreshing, clear. She lifts the cloth, watching as droplets fall back into the canal, small circles forming, then fading. She begins to rinse it carefully, moving her hands in slow, steady motions. There is no rush, just the simple act, repeated gently, again and again. The sun now sits higher in the sky, but its light remains soft. It does not press, it simply rests. After finishing, she wrings the cloth lightly, then folds it once more. Standing again, she looks out across the fields. A soft breeze passes through, carrying with it the quiet scent of grass and distant water. In the far distance, another windmill turns, small against the wide sky, yet still part of the same steady rhythm. Creak, pause, creak, pause. It feels as though time itself moves with that sound, not in moments, but in slow, gentle cycles. Hanka begins her walk back, her path familiar, her pace unchanging. As she returns toward the village, the quiet activity continues. A child walks beside an older woman, their steps small, even, unhurried. They speak softly, their voices barely rising above the calm air. A door opens, then closes. A chair is moved slightly, its legs brushing against the ground. Every sound is gentle, every movement is slow. Anka reaches her home once again. Pausing at the door, she takes a small breath, feeling the calm of the day settle around her. Inside, the room remains just as she left it. Quiet, simple, still. She places the cloth down, then sits for a moment, resting. Outside, the windmills continue their endless turning, steady, soft, unchanging, and the day moves forward without ever feeling like it is moving at all. The day settles gently into its middle hours, not with any clear change, but with a soft deepening of light and a quiet fullness in the air. Inside her home, Anka remains seated for a while longer, her hands resting loosely in her lap, her breathing slow, even, unhurried. The open window allows the outside world to drift in, not as noise, but as a soft presence. The distant turning of the windmill. Creak, pause, creak, pause. It continues, steady, unchanging, like a quiet companion to the day. A light breeze moves through the room, touching the edge of the table, lifting the corner of the cloth slightly, then letting it fall again. Nothing lingers for long. Everything arrives, then gently passes. After some time, Anka rises again. There is no sudden decision, just a quiet knowing that it is time to continue. She moves toward the small table, where the vegetables she prepared earlier now rest. The light from the window falls across them, soft and warm, bringing out their simple colors, orange, green, earthy, and calm. She begins to prepare a midday meal. Her movements are slow, careful, almost rhythmic. She slices, pauses, arranges, then continues. The sound of the knife is soft, barely more than a whisper against the wood. Cut, pause, cut, pause. Outside, a gentle shift in the breeze causes the windmills to respond. Their long arms turn just a little more steadily now, not faster, just more certain. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The sound seems to settle into the air, as if it belongs there, as if it always has. Anka places a small pot over a low flame. The fire is modest, just enough to warm, never to rush. Soon, a faint scent begins to rise, simple, earthy, comforting. It fills the room slowly, never overwhelming, just present. She steps back, allowing the food to cook at its own pace. There is no stirring yet, no checking, just trust and time. She moves to the doorway, standing just outside. The sun now rests higher in the sky, but its warmth is gentle, spread evenly across the village. Shadows are shorter now, but still soft, never sharp. A few villagers sit outside their homes, resting, talking quietly, or simply watching the day pass. A man leans back against a wooden wall, his eyes half closed, his posture relaxed. Nearby, a woman sits with a piece of cloth in her hands, sewing slowly, each movement careful, each stitch placed with quiet attention. The rhythm of her work is soft, repeating, steady. In the distance, a small boat glides along the canal. It moves slowly, barely disturbing the surface of the water. The person inside rows gently, each motion smooth, unforced. The water parts, then closes again, leaving only faint ripples behind. Anka watches for a while, her gaze soft, her thoughts quiet. There is nothing pulling her away, nothing demanding her attention. The world continues, and she is simply part of it. After some time, she returns inside. The gentle scent of her meal has deepened, warm, inviting, simple. She stirs the pot slowly, once, then again. The movement is calm, unhurried. Steam rises softly, curling into the air, then fading. She prepares a small portion, placing it into a simple bowl. Then she sits. The meal is quiet, without distraction, without rush. Each bite is slow, each moment allowed. Outside, the windmills continue their turning. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The sound drifts through the open window, blending with the stillness of the room. When she finishes, she does not stand immediately. She remains seated, hands resting lightly, breathing slow. Time feels wide here, unmeasured, gentle. Eventually, she rises, clearing the small space with the same calm care. The bowl is rinsed, the table wiped, everything returned to its place. Nothing is left undone, but nothing is rushed. The day outside continues its quiet flow. The breeze softens slightly, and the windmills respond. Their movement slows just a little, but never stops. Creak, longer pause. Creak, the rhythm changes, but remains steady. Anka steps outside again, drawn by the open air. The warmth of the day now rests gently on her skin. Not heavy, just present. She walks a short distance from her home, finding a place where the view opens wide. The fields stretch before her, green and calm, divided by shining lines of water. In the distance, the windmills stand like quiet guardians, unchanging, patient. She sits on a small wooden bench. It is worn smooth, shaped by time, by use, by quiet moments just like this. She rests her hands beside her, feeling the texture of the wood. The breeze moves again, light, cool. A bird passes overhead, its wings steady, its path slow. There is no urgency in its flight, just movement through open space. Anka closes her eyes for a moment, not to sleep, but simply to rest, to listen, to feel. The windmill in the distance turns. Creak, pause, creak. The water in the canals shifts gently, barely a sound. The village hums softly, not with noise, but with quiet life. Everything continues, without effort, without hurry. And as the midday light holds steady, and the world remains calm, the day gently begins its slow journey toward the afternoon. The afternoon begins so quietly that it almost feels like the day has simply taken a softer breath. There is no sharp line between midday and later hours here. No sudden change, no hurry, only a slow leaning of the light, a gentle shifting of shadows, and the calm understanding that time is passing in its own careful way. Anka remains seated on the small wooden bench for a little while longer. The wood beneath her is warm now from the sun, not hot, just touched by light, touched by time. Before her, the fields continue outward in long, level stretches. The land is so open here, so wide and simple, that even the silence seems to have room to rest. A narrow canal lies beyond the path. Its surface is mostly still. Only now and then, a faint breeze moves over it, and the water answers with the smallest ripple. The reflection of the sky breaks for a moment, then slowly becomes whole again. The windmills still turn in the distance. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The sound is steady enough to fade into the background, and familiar enough to feel almost like part of the body's own rhythm. A village heart, a wooden breath, a slow, reliable motion that asks nothing from anyone except a little listening. Anka opens her eyes again and looks toward the nearest windmill. Its sails move with patient certainty. The breeze is not strong today. It does not push. It only guides. And the windmill accepts that guidance without complaint, without urgency, turning because it is made to turn, turning because this is what it has always done. She sits with that thought for a while. Around her, afternoon settles softly over everything. A few villagers pass at a distance. Their footsteps are small on the path. A man carrying a bundle of reeds. A woman with a folded cloth over one arm. An older figure walking slowly with a cane made from smooth wood. No one seems pressed by time. No one moves with strain. Even work here has a certain quiet patience, a gentle order, a calm repetition. Anka rises from the bench at last. She smooths the front of her apron with her hands. Then she begins to walk along the path that leads away from the cluster of homes, past the nearest canal, and toward the low meadow where the grass grows taller. Each step is unhurried. Her shoes press softly into the earth. The path is dry in some places, slightly soft in others, and it curves the way old paths do, not in straight lines, but in gentle choices made by many feet over many years. As she walks, the air carries the scent of grass warmed by sunlight, also damp earth, also water, and somewhere farther off, the faint, dry smell of ground grain near the mill. The village sounds soften behind her, though they never disappear completely. A door closing lightly, the brief call of someone greeting a neighbor, the slow roll of a cartwheel turning over packed dirt. Then, once more, the long wooden breath of the windmill. Creak, pause, creak, pause. She reaches a narrow wooden bridge and steps onto it. The boards give a small familiar sound beneath her weight. Not loud, just a gentle reminder that wood remembers every season. Rain, sun, mist, frost, all of it leaves a quiet mark. She pauses at the middle of the bridge. Below her, the canal moves so slowly that at first it seems still. Then she notices a drifting leaf, then a trembling reflection, then a tiny swirl where the water meets one of the support posts. A reed bends near the edge, straightens, bends again. Anka rests her hand on the rail and looks down into the clear surface. The sky seems to lie inside the water, pale blue, soft white cloud, and across it, the broken reflection of a windmill sail passing slowly, again and again. Like a clock too gentle to measure anything sharply. She stands there for a long moment, listening. Afternoon in this place is not empty. It is full of small things. The brushing whisper of reeds, the occasional wing beat of a bird rising from the grass, a distant bleat from one of the sheep near the village fence, the little tap of rope against the side of a moored boat, the quiet shifting of air over open land. Nothing dramatic, nothing sudden, only a world moving softly through itself. At last, she crosses the rest of the bridge and continues toward the meadow. The grass here grows higher and looser, wild in a gentle way, not neglected, simply allowed. Allowed to lean where the breeze wishes, allowed to seed, allowed to sway. Small white flowers appear between the blades, tiny yellow ones too, simple field flowers, light and modest, close to the earth. Anka walks carefully so as not to crush them where she can avoid it. She knows this place well, the narrow line where the ground is firmest, the patch where the grass stays damp longer after rain, the little rise from which one can see farther across the fields. She heads toward that rise now. It is not high. In another land it might hardly be noticed, but here, where the world is so level, even a slight lifting of the ground offers a wider view. When she reaches it, she stops. From here, she can see the village roofs clustered quietly together, the windmills beyond them, the canals flashing pale in the sunlight, the flat green stretches broken by fences, paths, and the occasional line of trees farther off. The trees are not many. This land belongs more to sky than to forest, more to wind than to shade, and because of that, everything feels open, breathable, unhidden. Anka folds her hands together loosely and lets her gaze wander. She sees one of the mill workers below, moving near a cart beside the grain store. He lifts something small, sets it down, checks a fastening, then stands still for a moment, perhaps to feel the wind, perhaps to listen to the turning above him. Not far from the village, 2 children walk beside an older woman. One child pauses to look into a canal. The other skips only once, then returns to the same calm pace. Even childhood here seems softened by the land, not silent, but gentler somehow, less sharp, less rushed. A gull circles high above, its cry brief and thin in the open air. Then it drifts farther off toward the broader waters beyond the fields. The sun has moved now. Not much, but enough for shadows to begin their slow stretch. The sails of the windmills cast longer shapes on the ground. The fences do too. The side of a house grows cool while the other remains warm. Afternoon is changing, but so gradually that only patient eyes would notice. Anka leaves the small rise and walks deeper into the meadow. There is a place she likes there, a flat stone near a shallow bend in the canal where the bank is lined with soft moss. The stone is half hidden by grass, warm in sun, cool beneath, a quiet place to sit and mend cloth, or simply think, or simply be still. When she reaches it, she lowers herself carefully. The basket she brought earlier today is not with her now. Her hands are empty, and because they are empty, they feel light. She lays one palm on the stone beside her. Its surface is uneven, slightly rough, holding warmth from the day. A dragonfly passes over the canal, blue for a second in the light, then nearly invisible, then blue again. Its movement is quick, yet even that quickness feels harmless here, a bright little line in a slow world. Anka watches it until it disappears among the reeds. Then she looks down at the moss near the water's edge, tiny and thick, a soft green carpet gripping the damp earth. If she leans close, she can see how many small shapes make up what from a distance seems like only one patch of color. So many little stems, so many little threads of green, all growing quietly together. The canal beside her gives back light in soft flashes, not bright enough to disturb the eyes, only enough to make the surface seem alive. Far away, but not too far. A church bell rings once, then after a pause, once more. Its sound is low and round. It travels over the flat land without force. It does not command, it simply marks. A moment passing, an hour arriving, the afternoon deepening. Anka hears it and does not count. There is no need. The bell belongs to the village the way the windmill does, the way the canals do, the way the path beneath her shoes does. It is part of the day's gentle fabric. She closes her eyes again for a brief while. Behind her eyelids, the light is warm, red, and gold. The breeze touches the side of her face. A strand of hair shifts near her cheek. The sound of the mill reaches her in waves. Creak, pause, creak, pause. Nearby, in the grass, something small rustles. Perhaps a field mouse. Perhaps only the grass settling back after a bird moved through it. The sound is tiny, then gone. She opens her eyes. A cloud has drifted across part of the sun. The change is immediate but soft. The meadow cools slightly. Colors become gentler. The canal turns from silver to pale gray blue. Clouds often move this way here, slowly, with wide edges, without threat. They pass across the broad Dutch sky like thoughts that come, linger lightly, and then continue on. Anka remains on the stone as the cloud continues its slow journey. Soon the warmth returns. The moss brightens again. The water flashes once more with pale light. She stands at last and brushes a little grass from her skirt. There are still small things to do before evening. A cloth to hang, a shelf to straighten, perhaps a visit to a neighbor if needed, perhaps only the quiet tasks of home. The day is not finished. It has only entered that tender middle space when the body knows there is still time, plenty of time, for all that remains. She begins to walk back. This time she takes the longer path, one that curves beside several small garden plots at the edge of the village. The gardens are neat without being strict. Rows of onion tops, cabbage leaves broad and heavy, beans climbing simple wooden frames, herbs close to the ground, parsley, chives, a little thyme. Their scents rise when the breeze brushes over them. At one plot, an older man kneels on a folded sack to protect his knees from the damp soil. He is loosening earth around a row of young plants with a small hand tool. His movements are slow, deliberate, almost meditative. He looks up as Anki passes. She nods. He nods back. That is enough. At another garden, a line of laundry hangs between two poles. Simple white cloth, a faded blue apron, a child's small shirt. The breeze lifts them gently, then lets them rest, lifts them again, then lets them rest. The sight is so quiet, so ordinary, that it feels beautiful without asking to be noticed. Anka pauses for a moment near the laundry line. She watches a corner of cloth flutter and settle, flutter and settle. There is comfort in repeated things, comfort in motions that do not surprise, comfort in the small faith that some patterns will continue. She walks on. As she nears the village center again, the sound of work is a little clearer, not loud, never loud, only nearer. A wooden bucket set down beside a doorway, a broom against stone, a hand mill inside a house turning grain in a smaller, quieter rhythm than the great windmills outside. Murmured conversation, then silence again. The afternoon has ripened now into that peaceful stretch when energy softens, when even active hands move more slowly, when shadows lengthen without hurry, when the thought of evening begins, not as darkness, but as a future comfort. Anka passes the communal well once more. No one is there now. The rope hangs still. The wooden beam above it is warm from sun. A small cup rests upside down on the side ledge. A bead of water clings to its rim and slips down slowly, then falls. She reaches her doorway and stands for a moment before entering. From here, she can see a narrow slice of canal, a roof line, a windmill sail passing between two houses in the distance. Creak, pause, creak. She smiles very slightly, not with excitement, only with recognition, with quiet belonging. Then she goes inside. The room greets her with familiar stillness. The light has shifted across the floorboards. It now lies in a broad slant near the far wall. Dust moves through it in tiny, drifting specks, visible only where the sunlight catches them. She takes the cloth she washed earlier and carries it outside to hang. The line behind her house is simple, a cord tied between two wooden posts. She shakes the cloth once, smooths it with her hands, and fastens it carefully. The breeze lifts it a little, not enough to pull, only enough to let it breathe. Then she returns inside and straightens a few small things. A wooden spoon placed back in its jar, a folded towel aligned on the shelf, a cup moved slightly closer to the pitcher. These are small acts, barely acts at all, yet done slowly. They become part of the day's calm design. She wipes the table once more, though it does not truly need it. She opens a storage chest and checks the folded linens within. She closes it gently. She lays fresh kindling near the hearth for later. Not too much, only enough for evening warmth. As she works, the light continues to change. The room no longer glows with midday brightness. Instead, it begins to soften at the edges. The corners deepen a little. The wooden walls turn richer in tone. The open window frames a sky that is still bright, but mellowing. Outside, someone passes singing very quietly to themselves. Only a few notes, low and absent-minded. Then the song drifts away. A chicken clucks somewhere nearby. Another answers from farther off. A gate opens and closes. And always, beyond the houses, beyond the gardens, beyond the canal and the path, the windmills go on turning. Creak, pause, creak, pause. Toward late afternoon, Anka fills a small basin with water and washes her hands and face. The water is cool, refreshing after the day's gentle warmth. She presses the cloth to her forehead, then to the back of her neck, and feels a quiet ease settle through her shoulders. She stands at the window and looks outside once more. The sunlight now lies lower across the village. It catches the tops of the grasses. the edges of fence posts, the turning sails, the rim of a boat tied along the canal. Everything touched by it seems calmer still, as if evening has begun to whisper from a distance. Anka knows there is time before supper, time enough for one more short walk. Not far, only to the near canal and back. A habit she keeps on mild days such as this, so she takes her shawl, though the air is not yet cold, and lays it over her shoulders lightly. Then she steps outside once more, into the softening afternoon of the Dutch village, where the fields remain open, the canals remain still, and the windmills keep their patient watch over the land. The afternoon now begins to soften even more, like a quiet sigh, slowly moving toward evening. Anka walks along the familiar path once again, her shawl resting lightly on her shoulders, not for warmth, but for comfort. The air has changed just slightly, still gentle, still calm, but with a cooler note beginning to appear, like the first hint of evening arriving quietly. Without asking for attention, the light is different now. It no longer falls from above, but stretches across the land at a low angle, touching the sides of houses, gliding along the canals, resting softly on the grass. Everything looks warmer, golden, but pale, never bright. The shadows grow longer, but remain soft at their edges, never sharp, never harsh. As Anka walks, her steps remain slow, unhurried, as they have been all day. The path feels familiar beneath her feet, each small, uneven place known, each turn remembered. She passes the garden plots again. The older man who was working earlier now sits on a small wooden stool, his hands resting loosely, his tools placed beside him. He is not asleep, just resting. His gaze moves slowly across the plants, as if simply being near them is enough. Anka gives a small nod as she passes, and he returns it, with the same quiet understanding. Further along, the laundry that hung earlier now moves a little more freely in the breeze. The cloth rises, then settles, rises again, then rests, a soft, repeating motion, a simple rhythm, the kind that feels easy to watch, easy to follow, easy to drift with. Anka continues toward the canal. The water reflects the sky in longer, deeper tones now, pale blue, with soft gold stretched across its surface. Occasionally, a ripple moves through, but even that feels gentle, as if the water itself wishes to remain still. She reaches the small wooden bridge once more, and steps onto it. The boards feel cooler now beneath her feet. She pauses again at the center, resting her hands lightly on the rail. The windmills continue their turning. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The sound feels deeper in the evening air, carrying a little farther, settling a little longer. A bird crosses low over the canal, its wings brushing close to the water, then lifting again. No hurry, no sudden movement, just a smooth path through the quiet air. Anka watches until it disappears beyond the reeds. The breeze moves gently again, touching her shawl, lifting its edge slightly, then letting it fall back into place. Everything here seems to move in this same soft pattern. Lift, pause, settle. Again and again. She remains on the bridge for a long moment, listening, watching, simply being present in the slow turning of the day. In the distance, a faint sound of a door closing, then quiet again. Somewhere nearby, water drips softly from the edge of a wooden beam into the canal. Drop, pause, drop. Each sound spaced apart, never crowded, never rushed. After a while, Anka steps off the bridge and walks along the canal's edge. The grass here is slightly damp, cool beneath her steps. She walks carefully, her pace steady, her breathing calm. The scent of water feels stronger now, mixed with the faint smell of earth cooling as the sun lowers. The sky above begins to change, just slightly, still bright, but softer, with hints of pale gold spreading outward. A cloud drifts slowly across, thin, almost transparent. It does not block the light, only softens it further. Anka reaches the place where the small boat is tied. It rests quietly against the edge, its rope gently taut, holding it in place. The boat moves just slightly with the water, a soft back-and-forth motion. She places her hand lightly on its side. The wood feels cool, smooth from years of use. For a moment, she stands there, feeling the small movement beneath her hand. The boat does not try to leave. The rope does not pull. Everything is balanced. After a while, she lets her hand rest at her side again. The windmills continue. Creak, pause, creak, pause. Their movement feels slower now, or perhaps the day has simply grown quieter around them. A soft bell rings in the distance. Once, then again. The sound is low, deep, and gentle. It does not interrupt the silence. It becomes part of it. Anka turns slowly and begins walking back toward the village. The path now feels even quieter than before. Fewer people are outside. Those who remain move slowly, finishing small tasks, or simply sitting, resting, watching the light change. A man closes a gate, its wooden latch falling into place with a soft sound. A woman gathers a cloth from the line, folding it carefully. Without hurry, a child sits near a doorway, drawing small shapes in the dirt with a stick, then pausing, then continuing. The village prepares for evening, but gently, without any sudden change. Anka reaches her home again. She pauses at the doorway, looking out once more across the path. The canal, the distant windmills. The light now feels softer than ever. The golden tone deepens slightly, resting on the edges of everything. She steps inside. The room holds a quiet warmth, mixed with the cool air drifting in through the window. The shadows have grown longer here, stretching across the floor, touching the walls. She moves slowly through the space, her steps light, her hands calm. She prepares a small lamp, not yet lighting it, just placing it nearby, ready for when the light fades further. Outside, the windmills continue their endless turning, steady, soft, unchanging, and the day begins to gently settle into evening. Evening begins not with darkness, but with a soft deepening of everything. The light fades slowly, so slowly that it feels like the day is simply resting, not ending. Inside her home, Anka moves quietly, her steps even softer now, as if the calm of the day has settled fully into her. The open window lets in the cool evening air, a little fresher now, carrying the faint scent of water and grass and distant wood. She stands for a moment near the window, her hands resting lightly on the frame, looking out. The sky is changing. The pale blue has softened, and gentle shades of gold stretch across it, slowly blending into hints of soft gray. The clouds move, but very slowly, almost unnoticed. In the distance, the windmills continue. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The sound feels deeper now, more settled, as if it belongs to the evening as much as it did to the morning. Anka turns from the window and begins preparing her evening meal. Her movements are slower than before, not from tiredness, but from the quiet rhythm of the day reaching its end. She lights the small flame again, its glow warm, soft, steady. The room changes with it. Shadows become deeper, but gentle. Light gathers in small, calm spaces. Around the table, along the walls, near her hands, she prepares something simple. A small portion, nothing heavy, just enough. The sounds are soft. The placing of a bowl, the gentle stir of a spoon, the faint movement of water. Everything happens without hurry. Outside, the village continues its quiet transition. A door closes softly, then another. Footsteps pass, then fade. The low murmur of voices drifts for a moment, then disappears into the still air. The canals reflect the changing sky, their surface darker now, with soft streaks of fading light. A single bird crosses overhead, its wings steady, its path calm. Then it is gone. The windmills remain. Creak, pause, creak, pause. Their movement does not change. Day or night, morning or evening, they turn, as they always have. Anka sits at the table, her meal before her. She does not rush. Each bite is slow, each moment quiet. The flame flickers gently beside her, its light steady, never sharp. She listens as she eats. The windmill, the breeze, a distant sound of water moving softly against wood. All of it blends together into one calm presence. When she finishes, she remains seated for a while. Her hands rest lightly on the table, her posture relaxed. The light continues to fade, but slowly, always slowly, she stands at last, clearing the space with the same gentle care as before. The bowl is washed, the table wiped, everything placed where it belongs. She lights the small lamp now. Its glow is softer than the flame before, a warm, steady light that fills the room just enough. Not bright, never bright, just calm. Outside, the sky deepens further. The gold fades, leaving behind soft gray and the first hints of evening blue. A quiet stillness settles over the village. Fewer movements now, fewer sounds. The world feels as though it is gently closing, not ending, but resting. Anka steps outside once more. The air is cooler now, touching her skin lightly, refreshing, calm. She wraps her shawl a little closer, though not tightly, just enough. The path is quieter than before. Most doors are closed now, windows dimly lit from within. A soft glow appears here and there, small pockets of light, resting gently in the growing dusk. She walks only a short distance, not far, just enough to feel the evening air. The canal lies still beside her, its surface darker now, reflecting the deepening sky. A faint ripple passes through, then fades. The wooden bridge stands quiet, its shape softer in the dim light. She steps onto it once more. The boards are cool now, holding no warmth from the sun. She pauses at the center, as she has before. But now, everything feels different, quieter, deeper. Still, the windmills continue. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The sound carries farther now, through the open evening air. Clear and steady, a distant bell rings again. Low, gentle, marking the time without urgency. One, pause. Another. Then silence returns. Anka looks out across the fields. The land is still visible, but softer now, edges fading into shadow. The windmills stand darker against the sky, their slow turning visible, but quiet, almost like silhouettes. The breeze moves again, light, cool. It carries no weight, only presence. She remains there for a while, breathing slowly, listening, feeling the calm settle deeper. Then she turns and walks back home. The village feels wrapped in stillness now. Doors closed, lights low, movements few, only the soft, quiet rhythm of life continuing, without noise, without urgency. Anka steps inside, closing the door gently behind her. The lamp glows softly. The room feels safe, warm, still. She sits for a moment, then slowly prepares for rest, folding a cloth, placing a few things in order. Simple actions, done slowly. Outside, the windmills continue their endless turning, steady, soft, unchanging, and the evening settles fully into night. Night arrives gently, not all at once, but in quiet layers, softly settling over the village. The last traces of light fade from the sky, leaving behind a deep, calm blue. Then, slowly, Even that begins to darken. Inside her home, Anka moves with the same steady rhythm, her small lamp casting a warm, gentle glow. The light reaches only a little way, touching the table, the walls, the wooden floor. Beyond that, soft shadows rest quietly, undisturbed. She prepares her sleeping space. The blanket is unfolded, smoothed carefully across the bed. Her movements are slow, unhurried, as they have been all day. There is no need to rush into rest. Even rest arrives gently here. Outside, the village is nearly still. A few faint lights glow from distant windows, small, steady points in the darkness. The canals have become dark mirrors now, reflecting only the faint shapes of the sky and the occasional shimmer of a distant light. The windmills continue. Creak, pause, creak, pause. Their sound is softer now, but still present, still steady. It carries through the cool night air, clear, unbroken. Anka sits on the edge of her bed for a moment. Her hands rest loosely in her lap. Her shoulders relaxed. She listens. The night has its own quiet sounds. A faint movement of water, touching the edges of the canal. A soft rustle of wind, moving through the grass. The distant turning of the windmill, unchanged, constant. There is comfort in this sameness. Nothing surprises, nothing demands. Everything continues, as it should. She stands again, moving toward the small window. She opens it slightly more. Cool air enters. Fresh, clean, quiet. The sky above is now deep and clear. A few stars appear, small points of light, soft, steady. They do not shine brightly, only gently, resting in the wide open sky. Anka looks at them for a moment. There is no need to count, no need to follow their shapes. Just to see them is enough. In the distance, one of the windmills turns slowly, its dark shape moving against the sky. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The sound feels almost like breathing now. Slow, deep, even. She closes the window partway, leaving just enough space for the night air to remain. Then she returns to her bed. She sits again, then slowly lies down. The blanket is pulled gently over her, resting lightly, comfortable. The lamp still glows nearby, its light soft, steady. For a moment, she simply rests, eyes open, listening. The village is quiet, very quiet. No footsteps now, no voices, only the soft presence of night. And always, the windmill. Creak, pause, creak, pause. It continues without change, just as it did in the morning, just as it will tomorrow. Her breathing slows, in and out, steady, calm. The day has passed, without rush, without strain. Each moment, simple. Each movement, gentle. Outside, a faint breeze moves again, touching the edges of the houses, the tops of the grass, the still water of the canals. Inside, the lamp flickers once, then steadies. Anka reaches out and gently lowers the flame. The room becomes dimmer, but not dark, just soft, just enough. She closes her eyes. The sounds remain. The windmill, the breeze, the quiet night. All of it continues, without her needing to follow it, without her needing to think. Time moves, but slowly, very slowly, and the village rests. The windmills turn, even in the darkness, steady, soft, unchanging. And as the night deepens, everything settles further into stillness, into quiet, into rest. The night continues, deep, quiet, and unbroken. Inside her home, Anka rests beneath the soft weight of her blanket, her breathing slow, even, steady. The small lamp has dimmed to a gentle glow, just enough to soften the edges of the room, just enough to hold back the full darkness. Shadows rest quietly along the walls, stretching and settling, without movement. Outside, the village sleeps, No doors open now. No footsteps pass along the path. No voices drift through the air. Only stillness, only quiet, and always the windmills. Creak, pause, creak, pause. Their sound travels softly through the night, unchanged, steady as ever. It does not disturb the silence. It becomes part of it. The canals lie calm beneath the dark sky. Their surface reflects faint starlight, small, gentle glimmers that shift only when the water moves. A light breeze passes now and then, barely touching the surface, creating the softest ripples, then fading again. Near the edge of one canal, the small wooden boat rests, still tied, still gently moving, back and forth, back and forth, a slow motion, so small, it almost feels like it is breathing. The rope holds it in place, firm, but not tight. Everything remains balanced. In the distance, a faint sound of water touches wood, a quiet lap, then stillness again. Inside the house, Anka shifts slightly beneath her blanket, not waking, not fully, just a small movement. As the body settles deeper into rest, her breathing remains calm, in and out, steady, unbroken. The night air continues to drift through the slightly open window, cool, fresh, soft. It moves the edge of the curtain just a little, a gentle rise, then a fall. Again and again, the fabric responds quietly, never loud, never sudden. The windmills continue their turning. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The sound feels farther away now, as if it has settled into the distance, becoming part of the night itself. High above, the sky remains clear. More stars have appeared, filling the wide open space with soft points of light. They do not move quickly. They do not change. They simply remain. Quiet, steady, present. A faint cloud drifts slowly across them, thin, almost invisible. It passes without notice, without change. The night holds everything gently. Nothing pushes, nothing demands. Everything simply exists, in its own calm way. In one of the distant homes, a faint light still glows. Perhaps someone is still awake, finishing a quiet task, or sitting in silence, just as Anki did earlier. But even that light is soft, never bright, never sharp. It rests in the darkness like a small, steady breath. After a while, it fades. The village returns fully to stillness. Time continues, but it does not feel like time. It feels like space, wide, quiet, endless. The windmills continue. Creak, pause, creak, pause. Their rhythm does not change, not for night, not for sleep, not for anything. They turn because they always turn. They move because the wind moves, and the wind moves gently, as it always has. Inside the room, the air grows cooler. The warmth of the day has faded completely now, leaving behind a soft, even chill. The blanket rests comfortably, holding just enough warmth. Anka remains still, her breathing slow, her body at ease. The sounds of the night do not disturb her. They surround her. They hold her, like the quiet turning of the windmill, like the soft movement of water, like the distant whisper of wind across the fields. Everything continues, without effort, without change. Hours pass, but they do not feel long. They pass like the slow turning of the windmill blades. One moment, then another, always steady, always calm. Far in the distance, a faint bell sounds once, low, deep, soft. It echoes gently across the fields, then fades into silence. No one stirs, no one answers. It is simply part of the night. The stars remain. The wind moves lightly. The canals stay calm, and the windmills continue their endless turning. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The village sleeps, wrapped in stillness, held in quiet, and the night continues, softly, without end. The night slowly begins to soften, though it is still deep, still quiet, still wrapped in calm. There is no clear moment when it changes, no sudden shift, only a gentle easing, as if the darkness itself is slowly breathing out. Inside her home, Anka remains at rest, her body still, her breathing slow, steady, unchanging. The small lamp has now faded completely, leaving the room in soft darkness. Not heavy darkness, not empty, just calm. The faint light from the sky outside filters gently through the window, touching the edges of the room, softly outlining shapes. The table, the chair, the quiet form of the bed. Outside, the village remains still. The canals lie dark and smooth, holding the faint reflections of the sky above. The wind moves lightly across the land, cool, gentle, barely felt, and the windmills continue. Creak, pause, creak, pause. Their sound is softer now, as if the night has wrapped around it, holding it close. The rhythm remains steady, always steady. In the distance, the sky begins to change, just slightly. The deep darkness lifts a little, not enough to see clearly, but enough to feel. A faint hint of gray begins to touch the horizon, soft, subtle, almost unnoticeable. Time continues to move, but gently, without urgency. The stars still shine above, small and steady, but now they seem quieter, as if preparing to fade. A thin breeze passes through the fields, moving the grass in soft waves, back and forth, back and forth. The canals respond with the faintest ripple, then return to stillness. Near the edge of the village, the small wooden boat shifts slightly, its rope creaking softly. A small sound, then quiet again. Inside the home, Anka shifts gently beneath her blanket. A slow movement, a quiet breath, but still resting. The night holds her gently. Nothing disturbs, nothing calls. Everything remains calm. The windmills continue. Creak, pause, creak, pause. Their movement does not slow, does not change. They turn as they always have, guided by the quiet wind. The faint gray along the horizon grows just a little stronger. Not bright, not yet, just a soft lifting of the darkness. The sky above remains deep, but no longer as heavy. A bird stirs somewhere in the distance. A small sound, barely more than a whisper, then silence again. Moments pass, then another small sound. A second bird, calling softly, not loud, not sharp, just a quiet beginning. Inside the room, the air feels slightly different, still cool, but lighter. The open window allows the first hint of early morning air to enter. Fresh, soft, clean. Anka's breathing remains steady, in and out, slow, even. The blanket rests lightly, warm enough, comfortable. The room slowly becomes easier to see. The shapes soften into form. The edges become clearer, but still gentle. Outside, the windmills continue their steady turning. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The sound feels closer again, as if the quiet of night is slowly opening. The sky continues its slow change. The gray grows lighter, spreading gently upward. The stars begin to fade, one by one, softly disappearing. There is no rush in their leaving. They simply become less visible until they are gone. The fields begin to take shape again. Faint outlines of grass, of fences, of distant windmills. The canals reflect the changing sky, their surface shifting from dark to soft gray. The village remains still, but no longer deeply asleep. It rests in that quiet space between night and morning. A moment of pause, a moment of stillness, a moment of gentle waiting. Inside her home, Anka stirs again, a small movement of her hand, a deeper breath. Not awake, not yet, but close. The wind moves again, softly brushing the fields. The windmills respond. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The rhythm continues, unbroken, unchanged. The horizon grows lighter still. A faint hint of pale color begins to appear. Soft, almost silver. Morning is coming, but slowly, very slowly, and the village remains wrapped in quiet, held gently, between night and the beginning of a new day. The early morning begins to unfold, not with brightness, but with a soft return of light. The sky along the horizon grows pale, a gentle silver blue, spreading slowly across the open land. The darkness continues to lift, not all at once, but in quiet layers, just as it arrived the evening before. The village remains still, but no longer asleep in the same way. It rests in a calm in-between, where night has not fully gone, and morning has not fully arrived. The windmills continue their turning. Creak, pause, creak, pause. Their sound feels clearer now, carried gently through the cool morning air. The fields begin to show their color again. Soft green returns, muted at first, then slowly deepening. The canals reflect the changing sky, their surface shifting from gray to pale blue. A faint mist begins to rise again, hovering low over the land, thin and soft, like a quiet memory of the night. Inside her home, Anka stirs once more. Her breathing changes slightly, a little deeper, a little more awake. She does not rise yet. She remains still, eyes closed, resting in the gentle quiet of early morning. The air drifting through the window feels fresh, cool, clean. It carries the faint scent of water and damp earth and distant grass. Outside, a bird calls again, soft, simple, a single note. Then another answers, from farther away. The sounds are light, spaced apart, never breaking the calm. The sky continues to brighten. The pale silver becomes a soft blue, spreading upward, touching the higher clouds. The clouds themselves are faint, barely there, drifting slowly, as they did the day before. The wind moves gently across the fields. The grass responds in soft waves, bending, then rising, bending, then rising. The canals ripple slightly, then settle again. The small wooden boat shifts once more, a quiet motion, held in place by its rope. Everything feels familiar. Everything feels the same, and yet new again. Inside the house, Anka opens her eyes slowly. There is no sudden waking, only a quiet awareness, returning gently. She lies still for a moment, looking toward the window. The light is soft, pale, just enough to see the outline of the room. She takes a slow breath, in and out. The calm of the night remains, blending smoothly into the morning. She sits up slowly, placing her feet on the wooden floor. It feels cool beneath her, just as it did the morning before. Her movements are unhurried. There is no need to rush into the day. The day will come, in its own time. She stands and moves toward the window, opening it slightly more. She allows the fresh morning air to enter fully. The breeze touches her face, cool, gentle, awake. She looks out across the village. The mist lies low over the fields again, soft and quiet. The windmills stand tall, their long arms turning steadily. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The sound feels like a greeting, a quiet welcome into the new day. A thin line of smoke begins to rise from one of the chimneys, then another. The village is slowly waking, not all at once, just a few signs, here and there. A door opens softly, then closes. Footsteps, light, unhurried. A distant voice, low, brief, then quiet again. Anka remains at the window for a moment longer. She watches as the light spreads, touching the tops of the grass, the edges of the canals, the wooden sides of the homes. The sky continues to brighten, but gently, No harsh light, only a soft glow, growing slowly. She turns back into the room. The shapes are clearer now. The table, the chair, the small items resting in their places. Everything looks just as it did yesterday. Simple, calm, unchanged. And yet, it feels like the beginning of something new. She moves toward the small table, preparing once again for the morning. The same small tasks, the same quiet movements, lighting a candle, preparing a simple meal, moving through the space with care. Outside, the windmills continue their endless turning, steady, soft, unchanging, and the village, slowly, gently, begins another calm day, surrounded by windmills, just as it always has. Morning continues to unfold, slowly, softly, as if the day is stretching awake, one gentle moment at a time. The mist still rests lightly over the fields, thin, pale, hovering just above the ground. It moves almost without motion, shifting so slowly it feels still. The windmills turn through it. Creak, pause, creak, pause. Their tall shapes rise above the mist, steady and quiet, like familiar guardians watching over the land. Inside her home, Anka begins her morning again. The small candle flickers gently, its light soft and warm against the wooden walls. She prepares a simple breakfast, just as she did the day before. Bread, butter, warm milk, nothing more, nothing needed. Her movements are slow, careful, unhurried. The sound of her work is quiet. The placing of a cup, the soft movement of her hands, the gentle shift of the flame. Outside, the village begins to stir again. A door opens, then closes softly. A window is pushed open, letting in the cool air. Footsteps pass along the path. Light, steady. The rhythm of life returns, but gently, always gently. Anka sits for a moment, her breakfast before her. She eats slowly, each bite calm, each moment quiet. Through the open window, the sound of the windmill drifts in. Creak, pause, creak, pause. It is the same sound as yesterday, the same as the night, the same as the early morning, unchanged, reliable, comforting. After she finishes, she rises, clearing the small space with care. The bowl is rinsed, the table wiped, everything placed neatly. There is no rush, only the steady movement of the day. She steps outside. The air feels fresh, cool, touched with the quiet dampness of morning. The mist begins to lift, slowly, revealing the green of the fields beneath. The canals reflect the pale sky, their surface smooth, calm. Anka walks along the path once more. The ground feels soft beneath her feet, slightly damp, but steady. She passes the same wooden fence, the same quiet homes, the same narrow path. Everything is familiar. Everything is calm. A few villagers are already outside. A man carries a small bundle of wood, moving slowly, carefully. A woman stands near her doorway, shaking out a cloth, then hanging it neatly. They nod as Anka passes. No words needed, just quiet understanding. She continues toward the canal. The small wooden bridge waits, unchanged. Still, she steps onto it. The boards feel cool again, holding the memory of the night. She pauses at the center, resting her hands on the rail, just as she did yesterday, just as she always does. The water below is calm, reflecting the soft sky. A faint ripple moves across, then disappears. The windmills turn. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The sound feels like the beginning of the day, a gentle rhythm that guides everything. Anka stands there for a moment, breathing slowly, feeling the quiet morning settle around her. The mist continues to lift, revealing more of the fields, more of the distant windmills, more of the wide open land. The sky grows brighter, but still soft. No harsh light, only a calm glow. A bird passes overhead, its wings steady, its movement smooth, then another, following quietly behind. Their calls are soft, spaced apart, never breaking the stillness. Anka leaves the bridge and walks toward the small garden nearby. The plants are touched with morning dew, tiny droplets resting on leaves, catching the light. She kneels slowly, reaching out to gather a few herbs. Her hands move gently, carefully, as she places them into her basket. The scent rises softly, fresh, earthy, clean. There is no hurry, only the quiet task and the passing of time. The breeze moves lightly again, and the windmills respond. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The rhythm continues, unchanged, steady. The village grows a little more awake. More footsteps now, more quiet movement, but still calm. A cart rolls slowly along the path, its wooden wheels turning softly. A door opens, then closes. A voice speaks, low, then fades. Everything remains gentle. Anka stands, her basket lightly filled. She looks out across the fields once more. The mist has almost disappeared now, leaving the land clear, open, wide. The windmills stand tall, their arms turning slowly against the brightening sky. The canals reflect the light, shimmering softly. The village feels fully awake now, but still peaceful, still slow, still quiet. Anka begins to walk back home, her steps steady, her breathing calm. The day has begun again, just as it did before, just as it always does, and the windmills continue their endless turning, steady, soft, unchanging. The morning continues to open, like a quiet page being turned, slowly, without sound. The light now rests more fully across the village, spreading gently over rooftops, fields, and the long, narrow canals. The mist has lifted almost completely, leaving behind a clear view of the land, wide, open, calm. Anka walks back along the familiar path, her basket resting lightly at her side. Each step feels easy, unhurried, as if the path itself carries her forward. The air is still fresh, but touched now with a soft warmth. Not strong, not heavy, just enough to feel the day beginning. The windmills continue their steady turning. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The sound moves gently through the air, clear, constant. As she passes the small homes, more signs of the day appear. A window opens wider, letting light spill inside. A man steps outside, stretching his arms slowly, then pausing, just to stand, just to feel the morning. A woman places a small stool near her doorway, sitting quietly for a moment, her hands resting in her lap. No one rushes into the day. The day is already there, waiting, soft and patient. Anka reaches her home, pausing briefly before entering. She looks out across the path once more, toward the canal, toward the distant windmills. Everything feels balanced, simple, steady. She steps inside. The room is filled now with soft morning light, touching every corner, warming the wooden surfaces. She places her basket on the table, removing the herbs she gathered. Their scent fills the space, light, fresh, calm. She arranges them carefully, setting them aside for later use. Her movements remain slow, deliberate, familiar. Outside, the village continues its gentle rhythm. The sound of a cart passes by again, wheels turning softly, wood against earth. A distant voice calls, low, brief, then quiet. The canals shimmer with reflected light, small movements dancing across the surface. The breeze moves through the open window, carrying the scent of grass and water and the quiet life of the village. Anka steps outside once more, drawn again by the open air. The path feels warmer now, drying under the growing light. She walks slowly toward the wider field, where the land stretches open. The windmills stand tall in the distance, their movement steady, unchanging. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The sound feels like a quiet guide, a steady rhythm beneath everything. As she walks, she notices the small details of the morning, a drop of water slipping from a leaf, falling softly to the ground, a bird resting briefly on a fence, then lifting again into the air, the gentle sway of grass, moving with the breeze. Everything feels calm, everything feels in place. She reaches the edge of the field and pauses. The view stretches wide before her. Green fields, thin canals, distant windmills, and the soft blue sky above. The world feels open here, uncrowded, quiet. She takes a slow breath, feeling the air fill her lungs. Cool, fresh, clean. Then, slowly, she lets it go. The moment lingers, without needing to change. After a while, she begins to walk again, following the path that curves gently through the land. The village behind her continues its quiet life, steady, unhurried, and the windmills continue their endless turning, soft, slow, and constant. The day moves forward, just as it always does, without rush, without noise, without change, and in this gentle rhythm, everything feels exactly as it should be. The morning slowly begins to deepen, not into anything busy, not into anything loud, but into a fuller sense of the day. The light grows warmer, spreading more completely across the fields, touching every surface with a soft, steady glow. Anka continues along the path, her steps slow, her breathing calm. The air feels different now, no longer carrying the cool edge of early morning, but not yet warm enough to feel heavy, just balanced, just gentle, the kind of air that asks nothing and gives everything quietly. The windmills continue their turning. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The sound moves through the open land, steady, unchanging. As she walks, the village slowly becomes clearer again. The homes, the fences, the quiet paths. The day continues, just as it always does, without rush, without noise, without interruption, and in this gentle rhythm, everything remains calm, everything remains steady, everything remains at peace. The day continues, as it always does, softly, steadily, without ever needing to hurry. Anka walks back toward the village, her steps slow, her breathing calm, her path familiar beneath her feet. The light now rests fully across the land, gentle, even, touching everything with quiet warmth. The windmills continue their turning. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The sound follows her, as it has all day, as it always will. The village comes into view again. Simple homes, narrow paths, small gardens resting beside each door. Everything feels just as it was before, unchanged, steady, calm. A few villagers move quietly along the path, each one continuing their day in the same gentle rhythm. A man carries a small bundle, his steps even, unhurried. A woman arranges something near her doorway, pausing, then continuing, without rush. A child sits near the edge of the path, watching the ground, drawing slow shapes in the dirt. No one moves quickly. No one needs to. The day unfolds on its own. Anka walks past them, offering small nods, quiet acknowledgments. No words are needed. The understanding is shared. In calm presence, in soft gestures, she reaches her home and pauses at the doorway. For a moment, she looks out across the path, toward the canal, toward the distant windmills. The blades turn slowly against the sky. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The sound feels like a quiet thread, connecting everything, the fields, the water, the homes, the people, all part of the same steady rhythm. She steps inside. The room is warm with daylight, filled with soft light, touching the wooden surfaces, resting gently in every corner. Everything is as she left it, simple, ordered, peaceful. She moves through the space slowly, adjusting a small cloth, placing a cup neatly, straightening the table. Small actions, quiet actions, but part of the same calm pattern. Outside, the village continues. The canals shimmer softly. The breeze moves lightly. The windmills turn. Nothing changes suddenly. Nothing breaks the stillness. Time moves, but it does not rush. It flows, like the water in the canals. Slow, steady, gentle. Anka steps back outside once more. Standing just beyond her door, she feels the air, soft, balanced, carrying the quiet life of the village. She listens. The windmill, creak, pause. The faint movement of water, soft, barely there. A distant footstep, then quiet again. Everything continues, just as it always has, just as it always will. She takes a slow breath, in and out. The moment holds. Nothing needs to change. Nothing needs to happen. The day is enough. Just as it is, the windmills turn, steady, soft, endless, and the village rests within that rhythm, calm, quiet, unchanging. As the hours move gently forward, the same patterns will return, morning, afternoon, evening, night, again and again and again, always slow, always steady, always calm, and somewhere, just beyond the quiet of each moment, the windmills will continue their endless turning. Creak, pause, creak, pause, holding the rhythm of the land, carrying the gentle passage of time, and guiding each peaceful day into the next.